everyone, what's poppin', what's tea? It's your girl Spicy Niche, and we are here today to talk about none other than Postcards. Now, this was a 6-episode series that debuted on Netflix, so let's talk about it. So, Postcards is about Auntie Bunmi, played by Auntie Shola. So, Auntie Bunmi is a big socialite in Lagos, but has a medical scare. She has thyroids, which result in her having to fly to India to have this surgery done. Little does she know that her estranged son, Yemi, played by Toby Bakare, is also in India for like a Bollywood film. They booked him as like a backup dancer. Her also estranged brother, played by none other than RMD, also lives in India. So the storyline starts out in Nigeria, and we all move to India pretty much. But that's pretty much the essence of the film. It also tells the tale of a doctor, her doctor, Auntie Bunmi's doctor, and his wife, and how initially when they got married, they agreed they were not going to have children. He then changes his mind, and they work out that entire relationship. So yeah, that's pretty much in essence what Postcards is about. So now, without further ado, let us get into my movie rating criteria. Now, if you are new here, I have 5 criteria. Each of them get 1 point each, and the first is going to be plot and storyline. Now, there are going to be spoilers, so if you have not watched Postcards, please go watch it and then come back to this video. So, plot and storyline. I personally feel like the plot and storyline was fairly easy to follow, but I will say the first 2 episodes I feel like could have been combined or condensed down into one solid episode. I was seeing some comments, on socials where people were like, after episode 1 they fell off, after episode 2 they fell off. But for me, I was binging this, so I watched the entire thing in one sitting, and I didn't feel like I was necessarily bored or uninterested. I just feel like it could have been condensed. Like, this really didn't need to be a series, especially since the episodes were so short. I feel like they could have condensed a lot of this down to be like maybe a 1 hour 30-minute movie, or even like a 2-hour movie. But nonetheless, for the plot and storyline, I thought it was good. I feel like it was easy to follow. So I'm gonna give them a 0.6 out of 1 star for this category, just because I also feel like there could have been a lot more character development. For example, Toby Bakare's character Yemi, like, yes, we understand that he has not been answering his mother's calls because she thinks he's in school, but now I'm just a little bit confused as to like what led up to this. What led up to you just completely not answering your mother's calls, even though your manager is telling you call her. Like, what have you been doing this whole time? Like, I just don't understand that aspect of things. Now, for RMD's character Olumide, we do see the backstory about all of this, but I also feel like there was no real conflict resolution. There was no real conflict resolution with him and the lady that he claimed to be in love with. Like, what was the resolve here? Like, he reached out to her, but in the film she did have dementia. But then what happened? Like, the film ended, everybody is sitting on this table with this happy ever after, but the only people who seemed to have a real resolution was the doctor and his wife, Auntie Bunmi, and her son. But then RMD's character is just kind of left like, oh, he was this grumpy old man, now all of a sudden life has hit him and he's changed. But there was no real conflict resolution. I would have liked to see him and that woman that he was in love with have some sort of resolve, whether it be, he just realized that, she can't remember him and he just lets the situation go and live his best life, or whether there are certain things that he brought to her that could remind her of that time, just some kind of resolution. And so for me, that's why I'm going to give them a 0.6 out of 1 star, because I feel like he was the only one who didn't have a real resolution in this entire thing. Now for acting and performances, guys, I really do feel like everybody did a really good job. These were all very, very strong actors. Auntie Shola, Toby Bakare, RMD, all very, very, very strong actors on both sides. I feel like the Indian actors did a really good job. The Nigerian actors in this film did a really good job. Yeah, there's no real complaints about the acting in this film. Like, I don't have anything that stood out to me that I can think of right now. The only thing I will say is, was Nancy Isime's character really needed? I know some of you are gonna fight me on this, a lot of Nancy Isime fans, but was she really needed? I've said this several times. When Nancy Isime has been a lead, even, she doesn't impress me with her acting. I'm just not impressed. And then even in this film, I just don't feel like it was necessary. Like, she was the sidekick for maybe like 10 minutes of the film. Like, this could have been a situation whereby she just called her dear friend who's living in Nigeria. Like, there was no need for production to fly Nancy Isime down to India to come and act this film, if you ask me. But I mean, if the budget is there, the budget is there. You know what I mean? But this just seemed like a girl who could have just phoned her friend back home in Nigeria, and, you know, they could have been talking on the phone. You know, they split the screen where one person is India, one person Nigeria, and they're both on the phone having this conversation. You guys get what I mean. But there was just no need for Nancy Isime to really be there, or for her character to, you know, fly all the way from Nigeria to India to say she's visiting her friend. For what reason? I just don't see that. So for me, for acting and performances, I'm going to give them a 0.8 out of 1 star for this category. Now for my third category, cinematography. I can actually, like, this was a really good cinematic film for me. It was very clear. The audios were very clear as well. You know, I love India. If you know me, I watch Indian matchmaking. Like, I love it all. So, like, I really liked the transition between what India would look like versus what Nigeria would look like, you know. And I also feel like they paid attention to those small details that I'm always mentioning in these videos. Like, for example, RMD being this rich guy, his house looked rich, you know. Even the doctor and his wife, it looked very homely. Like, there's a homemaker there. So just those little details, and even down to Toby's experience, being, you know, sold a dream. They scammed him. They gave him this 1-bedroom flat, and he's sharing it with, I think, 6 or 7 other people. I think everything that they did in the cinematography was very, very good. So I'm gonna give them full marks for cinematography. 1 out of 1 star for cinematography. Now for entertainment value and engagement, I think this was one of those kind of, like, I would describe it as a feel-good film. You know, it's like a feel-good film. It's like a family film. I feel like this is something that you could, or a series rather. I feel like this is something that you could watch with, like, your family, you know. But I just don't feel like it was something that I would watch twice. It just wasn't that memorable for me to say, oh yeah, like, let me go watch this again. There's some series and there's some films that you just want to watch twice. For example, like Sugar Rush is a prime example. I would watch Sugar Rush twice. And even in my previous videos, The Setup, I remember when The Setup first came out and I was telling everybody to watch it. So everybody who I told to watch it loved it. Even like the people who really aren't into Nollywood the way I am, they loved it. So there's just some films that you watch twice, and this was just not one of them. Do I feel like it was entertaining for what I needed at that moment? I mean, yeah, it was like literally 11 p.m. and I was looking for something to watch. So yeah, it kept me awake in the sense that, like, I didn't go to sleep while watching it, and I was curious to see where they were taking this entire storyline. But it just wasn't memorable for me. And so for that, I'm gonna give them a 0.6 out of 1 star for entertainment value and engagement. Now, finally, for theme and message. I mean, honestly, we can take away that the theme in this film was, you know, forgiveness is key. Because, you know, RMD's character had to forgive Auntie Bunmi. Auntie Bunmi had to extend grace and forgive her son. The doctor, I can't remember his name in the film, but I know the actor's name is Raj. Raj and Rahama, who played his wife, had to come to a resolve. So yeah, I really want to say that the theme of this film is like, you know, forgiveness, honestly. So for theme and message, I'm gonna give them a 0.7 out of 1. I think there were also some notes to friendship with RMD and his accountant's relationship. That whole brotherly love thing that they had going on. And even with Toby Bakare going on set and, you know, meeting the young lady who was like the lead in the whole thing, the Bollywood film he was auditioning for. Yeah, like they formed a friendship. He formed a friendship with, I think, the casting director. So there were some notes of brotherly love, friendship, things like that. So I'll just give them a 0.7 out of 1 star. But I do feel like I love when Bollywood and Nollywood collab. The last time I can remember a collab like this was when I watched Namaste Wahala. But I would be remiss without giving a big shout out to Rahama. Like, I really liked seeing her in a different role because she's always playing the same kind of role. When she was on Men's Club, she was playing Aminu's Hausa sister. Now, when she was in War, Wrath, and Revenge, she was playing this Hausa wife. Like, it's always centered around her being the Muslim character figure. Like, she just doesn't go outside of that, you know. And don't get me wrong, she plays that role very well, but it's just like, is that the only role that you can play? Like, I don't see her personally as someone who has range, you know, who acts this one, acts that one, like who has a very large repertoire for the different kind of characters that they can play. She's just one of those people who stays in this one lane and that's it, you know, which is fine. But it was just really nice to see her really embody this character, especially like when she was speaking Hindi, and you know, it just really what's the word I'm looking for? It was just very astonishing to see her take on this new role and really embody it fully. So I want to, you know, definitely give her props for this role. And I think, Rahama, if you see this, I think you should start taking on more roles like this. Like, show your range as an actor, because we know you can play the Hausa wife, the Hausa sister, you know, but take on something else so we can see your range as an actor. And I really did enjoy you in this film. So yeah, those are my thoughts on Postcards. For the most part, I feel like it was a good series, you know. But again, like, I feel like they could have condensed this, and I feel like Nancy Asime's character, that could have been a phone call, girl. That could have been a phone call. We need to see you and Rahama go on a shopping trip and one thing. Unnecessary, just unnecessary. In conclusion, my final rating for this film is going to be a 3.7 out of 5. But yeah, let me know what you guys thought of this in the comments down below. Was there anything that I missed that you guys caught? And yeah, I will see you guys in my next video.